Hey, you. Halloween is over. Take down those decorations. It's time to move on to the next holiday. No, I'm not talking about Christmas. I know the ads have already started running, but guess what? It's not Christmas time yet. She's defrosting, but we still have some time before she emerges. But it doesn't matter, because the next holiday on my calendar isn't recognized by any country or government. And yet, I still plan to take off from work and stuff my face when the day comes. Put away the pumpkins and pull out your Switches, because the next holiday we're going to celebrate is the launch of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We're back, guys. I know that's just kind of our sign-on in every video, but we actually have been gone for a while. Some major life events, nothing too special, a wedding, a honeymoon. I caught a shiny Xerneas in Edinburgh, but you don't care about any of that. You're here for Pokemon content. That reminds me, I should probably slap a light spoiler alert at the front of this video. We're not going to be talking about any leaks, rumors, or data mined content, but we will be referencing content that the Pokemon Company has officially released in trailers and on the Scarlet and Violet website. Though, if you're avoiding those kinds of spoilers, I'm not sure why you would even click on this video to begin with. Me, I've been doing my best to avoid any major spoilers for the new games. It's always way more fun, in my opinion, to enjoy the game as the creators intended you to. Uncover the evolutions, the new mechanics, and the story at the same pace you would have as a wee 10-year-old. Remember those times? Back before you were even aware of the concept of video game leaks? A GBA cartridge wasn't just a product you bought at a store. It was a portal into another world. One that wasn't made by a bunch of artists and programmers, but brought into reality by forces beyond your comprehension. Obviously, that level of immersion is hard to attain as an adult. Try as I might, nagging critiques like, why isn't that grass rendered better, or are they going to streamline the multiplayer user interface in this generation, plague my mind and inhibit that childlike wonder that Pokemon games inspired in me as a kid. Still, there is one consistent way to enjoy the launch of a new Pokemon game that I've been indulging in since I was 8 years old. Theorizing about all the new Pokemon, evolutions, and new forms that could be featured in the newest generation. And, of course, the most fun part, drawing those designs. So far, we've gotten to see a handful of exciting new Pokemon that will be added to the decks in Gen 9. But, like with every new Pokemon game, the more information we get, the more questions we have. What will the starter evolutions look like? Will any other older Pokemon get new evolutions? Are Pokemon like Satitan and Cloth part of an evolutionary line, or are they single-stage Pokemon? Feel free to berate me in the comments about my lack of spoiler-provided information. I've heard something about the entire game being leaked and perhaps the full Pokedex, and I'm sure a lot of you have probably already taken a peek. Now, when I first started writing this script, the aforementioned major leak had not yet broken. I thought this video would be more like a, wow, I wonder if this is what the new Pokemon will look like, and not so much a, yeah, I've already seen Smoliv's evolution, and this ain't it, chief, kind of deal, but that's fine. I can adapt. For those of you who are trying to avoid any unofficial leaks, this video will allow you to share your input on my speculations, and let all of us know what kind of Pokemon you're hoping to see in the new game. For the rest of you, I have a different challenge. Let me know how close I got to the actual designs, without explicitly revealing what those designs are. I'd be interested to know if I guessed well. This video will be all about the fun of limitless speculation, with a dash of self-indulgence. I'll be presenting a few ideas for evolutions of some of the already revealed official Pokemon, similar to the video we made a few months ago about the Scarlet and Violet starters. So many of the new Pokemon excited me, not just because of how they look, but because of the potential for what they could be when they evolve. In particular, I've got my fingers crossed for good evolutions for Lechonk, Smoliv, and Paldean Wooper. I've seen some artists pitch ideas for all three of these new mons, but they're still not quite what I've been hoping for. The designs I'm proposing are more what I want to see, rather than what is most likely to happen. Let me elaborate a little bit on this point. I know a lot of people have come to the conclusion that Lechonk takes inspiration from a little piglet. But let me finish. A little piglet that is roasted and served with an apple in its mouth. This is due to the etymology of its name, lechon being a Spanish dish consisting of an entire roast piglet. As a vegetarian, and a firm believer that pigs are cuter alive than dead, this concept is horrifying to me. I'm not saying it's a baseless theory, but I am saying that if the fans have theorized correctly, my love for this Pokemon will be replaced by sorrow and misery. Instead, allow me to propose another theory. Lechonk's evolution isn't food, but it helps people find food. In many places around the world, specially trained boars are used to sniff out rare delicacies, truffles in particular. What if this evolution still had a connection to the dinner table, but was an active participant in helping the chef, rather than the main course? The first thing I wanted to nail down was the body shape. I really love the anatomy of boars, especially wild pigs. The big crest on their backs, the massive heads and nimble legs. We have a few pig Pokemon already, but none of them really have these physical traits. For me, an ideal evolution for Lechonk would have all of the above. Of course, I think the part of Lechonk that we all love the most is its rotund physique. All muscle, by the way. I wanted to keep the chonk in Lechonk, so after some shape exploration, I settled on something that implied growth between the two evolutions, while still being an absolute unit. Lechonk is all-round, with soft curves making up its entire body. I wanted the evolution to, well, evolve. I gave it some bristling fur that adds a nice bit of dynamism to the shapes and brings more of what I love about hogs into this Pokemon's design. I imagine that some of you may consider this evolution a little underwhelming, but hear me out. If we're to assume that Lechonk is a standard Route 1 normal type Pokemon, that is, a very common Pokemon that's found en masse early in the game, then it's not uncommon for the evolution to be a little lackluster. It's not a bad thing. Who doesn't love Babarrel or Watchog or... Well, okay, that's a bad example. Watchog is ugly as sin. When I went in for the final rendering, there were a couple tweaks to make and a few more features that I wanted to add. Bringing in more of the yellow that Lechonk has around its eyes drew the focus of the viewer more to the evolution's face. Overall, I didn't change anything about the color scheme, but I did add another color to the palette. This helped make the evolution feel more, well, evolved. My final product would be the ideal outcome for me. If I were to evolve Lechonk on Scarlet and Violet's launch day and it looked anything like this, I'd be happy. Round, thick, chonky, large perhaps, all while playing up the features of real-world pigs and hogs that I love without having to make it roasted. And finally, the name. Lechonk is such a cute and clever name that's simultaneously a meme and sincerely a pun. I wanted the evolution to have the same vibe, so I present to you Susbristle. Get it? No, alright, well, someone explain it to this guy, because I think it's pretty funny. Susbristle, the hog Pokemon. Susbristle's sense of smell is uniquely astute. It's able to accurately pinpoint the location of rare cooking ingredients, and is a favorite partner Pokemon of chefs. When it finds its quarry, the hair on its back stands up straight. This hair is incredibly coarse and spiky to the touch. Next up, I want to talk about Smoliv. Like Lechonk, this thing is a meme, a mood, and a genuinely brilliant design all in one. It's adorable, it's relatable, I want to hug it, and a small part of me wants to eat it. Sorry, Olives, I don't feel bad about eating you yet. My human brain has not yet developed a level of empathy that allows me to feel guilty about eating parts of a plant. Little piggies? No. Little olives? I'm gonna grab a handful of them and eat them all in one bite. Oh, wait, this says that they're inedible. Well then, I guess that settles that. If you ask me, it's not difficult to speculate on what Smoliv's evolutionary line may look like. We've got a few of those little grass guys in almost every generation. Tiny little friend-shaped fellows that evolved to be more humanoid. When I was younger, I was indifferent to the trend. Now, for some reason, I love these lines. The first evolution, Liloil, will have proportions similar to Mime Jr. or other such Pokemon. Very small and compact, but with a few features that imply some movement and dexterity. In this case, some vine-like arms that it could extend out at great lengths. I think any good evolution should look enough like its previous forms while still adding something new to the design. So I upplayed the little olive hat with leaves resembling the shape of hair that we see on Smoliv. Finally, I wanted to add some more colors to the palette. Liloil would emphasize olive leaves as much as the olives themselves, as they're such unique shapes and they make for great adornments. They also come in many colors, so I wanted to bring out those colors in this design. A final pop of red in the pimento of the olive helped the design feel more evolved. Liloil, the olive leaf Pokemon. Liloil are confident and outgoing, but they're also very easily upset. If something causes Liloil to become distressed, it will start running around frantically while expelling bitter, oily tears. Though Liloil are commonplace in Paldea homes and stores, trainers must be careful to clean up after these Pokemon. Their tears are incredibly slick and can cause people to slip. So we have cute, nervous Smoliv, outgoing, fragile Liloil, and now we need the final stage of this evolutionary tree. No pun intended. I think one of the most important things a Pokemon evolutionary line can do is change not just the way a Pokemon looks, but how its personality reads as well. A growth, some obvious change from its first stage to final form. Smoliv is so cute, partially because you want to hug it so that it'll feel better, but I wanted its final form to take on the more caretaking role. Side note, I'm not sure if this is just me projecting my personal preferences on the limited information we have about this game already, but it seems like we're going to have a lot of food-based Pokemon. But that's probably just what I want rather than what's actually going to happen. Anyway, Oleala, the final form of Smoliv, is humanoid-ish. I wasn't going to commit to something as, let's say, anthropomorphic as Serena, but I still wanted the design to have some humanoid features, like leafy hair and a skirt or apron that also is made out of olive leaves. Of course, I also wanted it to be cute, and a little derpy looking, like the first two forms. I mean, there's something about that vacant stare that's just so charming. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't usually laugh out loud when I'm drawing, but both this and Liloil were making me chuckle every time I lifted my pen. I've been having much more fun with the color stage of my Pokemon creating process. Actually using a brush tool to layer in values creates a much more believable Pokemon design, and it's something that I recommend all of you who are interested in Pokemon design try out for yourself. When you look closely at official Pokemon artwork, you'll notice brush strokes in the values. It's not just a fill tool. It gives some texture to the surface of your character and makes the whole thing feel a little bit more three-dimensional. Look at that! We can design Pokemon and learn about good character illustration techniques. Who'da thunk? Oleala, the olive leaf Pokemon. Oleala have a passion for good food. Moreover, they love the reaction that other Pokemon or their trainers have when they enjoy good food. They can produce a wide range of sweet and savory oils that Paldean chefs have been using in dishes for generations. Alright, we got one more Mon to theorize about. This one goes out to my lovely wife, the biggest Wooper enjoyer that I know. Paldean Wooper has all of the charm and cuteness of its Johtonian counterpart, but there's an added sense of macabre to its design. Subtle, but the crossbones imagery made with its gills is hard to ignore. That's something I hope to see played up in its evolution. Now, I don't know if Paldean Wooper will evolve into Paldean Quagmire or an entirely new Pokemon, but personally, I hope that it's something new. Regional variants are fun, but they're constrained by the designs of their original forms. My goal was to design a new Pokemon that looked enough like Quagmire so that they seem related, but not so visually similar that I couldn't improvise a bit with the design elements. The key visual that was burned into my brain before I even started drawing was that of a skull-like visage against a dark body. That kind of contrast makes for a very exciting visual design, but you have to be careful that wherever you place this point of contrast must also be a place where you want the viewer's eye to focus. For me, using this on the head was a win-win. I got the contrast I wanted without making the design look confusing. The skull and crossbones imagery also contrasts with the personality that I wanted the Pokemon to convey. Like Quagsire, Glummire is cute, chunky, and a little goofy looking. You might even forget that it's a poison type, if it wasn't for the coloration on its head and the gills that made it look like it was wearing a giant skull. Of course, it doesn't know it's dangerous, it just likes to play in the mud. But wear a gas mask when you go to pet it. Glummire, the sludge Pokemon. The viscous mucus expelled by Glummire's skin mixes with the mud that they live in to create a very potent poison. They cover themselves in this concoction to ward off predators, and to lock in moisture in their thin skin. The odor the mud emits can be smelled for miles. Now, I know there's been some controversy surrounding the release of these new Pokemon games, but let's be honest. Has there ever been a Pokemon game released that people didn't have a problem with? From my perspective, the pros far outweigh the cons, if what we see in the trailer delivers. And yes, we don't know what the full Pokédex has in store for us, or at least not all of us know, but if any of the evolutions look anything like these, I'll be happy. What do you guys think? Are these the kinds of evolutions you want to see for the officially announced Gen 9 Pokemon? Do you have different ideas for what they'll look like? Or do you already know? Please try to avoid directly spoiling any unreleased info, but if I got close, let me know. Alright, that's it for this video. Before we end, I want to give a big thank you to our Patreon supporters. You guys keep our channel alive, and we couldn't do what we do without your help. Claire is running a new rewards tier with monthly character design lessons full of in-depth examples and extensive explanations about tips that we and many other illustrators use. If you're interested in learning a little bit more about the art of character design, want to improve your own work, or just want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron on our Patreon. It helps out a lot. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you all in the next video.